every morning with drive. Being on the grind, know I had to survive. We had to win. Started from the dirt and the rubble. I had to be the needle that was popping your bubble.
Hello and welcome into the Rookie Prospect Profile Series, a Zilla Fantasy Elite production. Today we're going to be looking at Jalen McMillan in the rookie wide receiver machine learning models. Can Jalen McMillan be a fantasy gem, or is he going to be a mere afterthought? Our machine learning models have the answers. Don't miss the reveal of their secrets. Jalen McMillan was drafted number 92 overall by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They come into the league out of the University of Washington. This is now the third Washington wide receiver we've had after Jalen Polk and Rome Odunze. Jalen McMillan comes in at 6'1", 197 pounds, running a 4.47, so pretty solid size there and a good speed score for him. 10-inch hand size, which we know in the machine learning models here, hand size is one of the top 5 features for rookie wide receivers in terms of their fantasy output. So that gets a little bit intriguing there. He had a 19.7 breakout age, which is all right, and his agility scores and burst score pretty solid. So vertical jump 37, broad jump 127, pretty solid numbers there. What will the machine learning models say about him? Well, we'll be curious to see as we dive into the first year predictions, but I will tell you it's looking like there's a potential for a third year breakout for Mr. Jalen McMillan. All right, now let's dive into that first year prediction. We can see the year one numbers here with a mean of 5.34, median of 5.25, 13th highest mean and median for the year one. And just to give you some context, Jalen McMillan was the 15th wide receiver drafted in the NFL draft this year. Looking at his maximum output at 11.55, that is ranked 16th in the class. And the CV at 26.4 is pretty solid there, top 14 in the class. Really, we see a lot of predictions there in between the 4 to 6 range, in between that 25th and 75th percentile. We see quite a few of them in there. So probably hovering around that range, 4.5 to 6 range, with vast majority of those, the median and mean, coming out at 5.3 or just above 5. I know we've been in this range a lot, but let's go take a peek at those wide receivers that happen to score right in that 5 to 6 range for fantasy in their rookie season, at least in the last 11 draft classes. And this is the Zay Jones, Vincent Smith at 5.0, Tyquan Thornton, Olamide Zaccheaus, and JJ Nelson all at 5.1, Quintez Cephas 5.15, Paul Richardson, Marquise Goodwin, and Marcel Aitman at 5.2. And then getting into the closeness of his mean median here, Lynn Bowden, 5.36 as a rookie. Stedman Bailey, Paris Campbell, Corey Washington, Corey Brown, Adam Humphries, all at 5.4. Josh Palmer, 5.46. Damian Ratley, 5.5. Quentin Johnson, 5.53 last year. N'Keal Harry, 5.6 in his best season, which was his rookie year. Jacoby Myers, also in that same draft class, 5.6. Trey Palmer, 5.63, Jonathan Mingo, 5.65, Wendell Williams and Trent Sherfield at 5.8, along with Michael Campanaro. So looking in that range, there's a lot of guys that fall in between 5 and 6 fantasy points per game in their rookie season, and that's roughly the range that's expecting Jalen McMillan to perform this season. How about that maximum output at 11.55? Well, it's in the Drake London rookie season category, top 50 overall, but just barely. Marquise Brown at 10.5 was the 48th best rookie season of the last 11 draft classes. Drake London, 10.51. Jahan Dotson, 10.88. Devonta Smith, 10.92. Laviska Shenault, pretty big jump up here to 11.22. And then 3 people at 11.3, which are Derrick Rogers, Jarvis Landry, and Preston Williams. A little bit below that particular mark, we have Devontae Parker at 10.4, Kiki QT at 10.4, Aaron Dobson, Christian Kirk, and Hunter Renfrow all hit 10.3 in their rookie season, and then Marlon Brown at 10.2 before dropping off to Jerry Jeudy at 9.85. So kind of interesting ceiling output there, not super inspiring. Jalen McMillan, 5 fantasy points per game, right in that range where we see a lot of guys at this particular stage in their career. And as much as we want these guys to hit their ceiling and all of that, we are reminded that probably not going to happen for most of these guys. With that being said, let's hop into the year 2 numbers. We see very, very much in Jalen McMillan's profile. His mean and median doesn't hardly budge the entire time. I believe this went up a tiny, tiny bit. Mean and median now at 5.56 and 5.44, basically went up 0.1 or 0.2. Nothing to write home about there in terms of the jump, and we do see a lot of others leapfrog him in terms of that ranking. So mean and median now at the 21st, even though he was the 15th wide receiver off the board. And his maximum output at 12.92 is the 16th best. So starting to see a little bit of a tail there, suggesting maybe a little bit of a ceiling outcome for him. The 34.5 CV is a little high, 24th in the class. Let's go look into those numbers. Around 5 to 6 fantasy points again in year 2. Who hit that during their second season in the last 11 draft classes? And again, it's quite extensive list here. Starting from the bottom up, Justin Hardy, Paul Richardson at 5.0 flat, Freddie Swain 5.09, Chris Moore and Josh Huff 5.1, Devin Duvernay 5.2, N'Keal Harry again 5.28, Deontay Hardy 5.3, same with Marquez Wilson, Deshaun Hamilton. Hunter Sharp at 5.5, Elijah Moore 5.51, Marquez Valdez-Scantling 5.6, Alec Pierce last year, 5.61, Brandon Johnson, 5.65, Nelson Aguilar and Tyler Boyd at 5.7, Chester Rogers, 5.8, Terrace Marshall, 5.93, and Sammy Coates and Devin Funchess at 6 flat. Not a super inspiring list there. Nelson Aguilar, Tyler Boyd, and Elijah Moore may be the best guys in that entire thing, but kind of interesting to see N'Keal Harry here in his median range of outcomes for the first 2 seasons. That maximum output, 12.92, what does that look like? It's exactly what Darnell Mooney did in his second season in the league. He hit 12.92, and that is good for top 40 in the last 11 classes, which is 39th overall. A little bit below that, we have Christian Kirk and Cam Meredith at 12.8. Garrett Wilson hit 12.54 last season. Keenan Allen and chosen Robbie Anderson at 12.5. George Pickens, 12.28. Henry Ruggs, 12.07. And then 12 flat, Jamison Crowder. A little bit above that, 13.1. Sterling Shepard, Tyrell Williams, 13.6. John Brown, Kenny Golladay, both at 13.8. Cortland Sutton, 13.9. Michael Pittman, 14.04. Again, those are ceiling outcomes. Not super great there, but if he has a Darnell Mooney type season in year 2, you're probably going to be fairly happy with your Jalen McMillan pick. He is going super late, if not undrafted in most rookie drafts. I would say 3rd, 4th round at the earliest, 5th round, a lot of times kind of getting mixed in with a lot of those running backs who may have a path if somebody gets injured, and then him kind of coming in at that range. So this is kind of looking like a pass for me. The 5 fantasy points per game mean and median looking probably pretty likely, considering most of these wide receivers aren't going to hit their high-end outcomes. And diving into year 3 here, we see mean go up to 5.70, median go down to 5.14. So again, we don't see a ton of change in that mean and median value across the first 3 years. The interesting part is, while those are ranked 20th and 21st respectively, the maximum output at 16.92 does crest the top 10 in the class in year 3. So as I was saying kind of earlier in the episode, it's got a year 3 breakout potential here, but kind of looking at the graphs on the bottom, we see a lot, his most common actual predictions there coming in between the 10th and 25th percentile. So it's saying, hey, as I'm going through these 1,000 predictions, most of them, the highest volume is actually coming in right around 2.5 fantasy points per game. And then we see this long tail kind of going out to his maximum output, which skews his data. Like the high end ones are going to skew that mean a little bit higher at 5.7. And then the middle outcome at 5.14 is actually a little bit lower than it was in the previous 2 years. So really seeing, hey, this guy could, in year 3, see a breakout. Kind of depends on what his team does. And we could maybe see something similar to that. He landed on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where we have Chris Godwin and Mike Evans there for sure in year 1. Maybe he doesn't do anything in year 1 and year 2. All of a sudden, 2 years from now, we got Mike Evans retiring. Jalen McMillan kind of starting on his own. Does he flounder? Does he flop? Do they draft another person super high? Who knows what the case may be, but really it's kind of seeing in year 3, he's got a wide range of outcomes here, but most likely he's going to be at about 2.5 fantasy points per game, and then we'll go from there. But let's go look in that range in terms of 2.5. We'll briefly look at the 5 range and then his maximum output. So right where his most of his predictions were coming in, right in about that 2.5 range. We're looking at guys like James Wright, Keith Kirkwood, Alex Erickson in their 3rd seasons hit 2.3. N'Keal Harry again down here at 2.37. So very interesting that it sees Jalen McMillan as N'Keal Harry for the most part. Miles White and Michael Campanaro again here, 2.4. Deontay Burnett, 2.45. Cameron Batson, 2.5. Ashton Doolin, 2.68. Marquez Callaway, 2.7. Jeff Janis and Marlon Brown at 2.8. Again, that's right where that high peak is that you see. That's where the range that it's predicting him to come in. Very funny that N'Keal Harry was down there. So N'Keal Harry comp for Jalen McMillan and his fantasy output, I think that's probably what you can expect. Getting into that 5.5 range, going from 5.3 up to about 6 here. Demarcus Robinson and Isaiah McKenzie both hit 5.3 in their rookie season. Paris Campbell, 5.37. Maurice Harris, 5.4. Laviska Shenault, 5.59. Kimbrel Hopkins, 5.6. Chris Conley, 5.7. JJ Nelson, 5.8. Albert Wilson and Kenny Stills, 5.9. And then 3 players at 6 flat, Justin Hunter, Justin Hardy, and Jakeem Grant. So that's the median kind of prediction there. And then the output for his maximum at 16.92. That's pretty high in the class there, top 10. Cooper Kupp actually hit 16.9 in his 3rd season, and that was top 15 or the 15th best in the last 11 classes. A little bit below that, Jamar Chase, 16.4. Jamar Chase, 16.42. Brandon Cooks, 16.4. Tyler Boyd, 15.8. Kenny Golladay, 15.5. Devontae Adams, 15.3. Hunter Renfrow again, 15.24. A little bit above that, again, we're cresting the top 15 of all time here, or the last 11 classes. Deontay Johnson, 17.15. Nico Collins last year, 17.36. CeeDee Lamb, 17.74. Odell Beckham Jr., 18.5. Pretty good company there. Should he hit his maximum output, I wouldn't necessarily see that coming from his particular profile, but it is saying that is within his range of outcomes for his year 3 season. And then let's look at his year 4 season. And we can see he finally drops off here. His mean and median go down to 4.72 and 4.54 respectively. 25th best in the class. Not really what you want to see in terms of being drafted 15th overall, and all of your rankings are about 10 less than that, especially here in year 4. Maximum output at 13.23 is the 17th best in the class. CV pushing 40%. Tiers less than ideal in terms of being confident in these results. Let's get into that 4 to 5 range in year 4. Who was hitting that? We have Bryce Butler at 4.0, Ray McLeod 14.14, James Washington 4.39, Jakeem Grant 4.4, Pharaoh Cooper 4.6, Chester Rogers 4.6, Anthony Miller 4.83, Geronimo Allison 4.9, Marcus Wheaton 5.0, and Taylor Gabriel at 5.1. You might be wondering where N'Keal Harry was. He was down at 3.51, and if we kind of look at our highest outcomes here, just above the 3.37 line, and in between that and the median, which is 4.54, we do see a peak probably right around 3.5 as the highest outcome there, and that's exactly what N'Keal Harry hit in his 4th season at 3.51. So really looking like Jalen McMillan in terms of the machine learning model thinks he's going to have like a N'Keal Harry level fantasy output during his first 4 seasons in the NFL. That maximum output at 13.23, what does that look like? That's in between Kenny Golladay and DK Metcalf in their 4th season. Kenny Golladay 13.16, DK Metcalf 13.34, pushing top 25 here. Mike Evans was 25th best at 13.4. Marquise Brown 13 flat, Deebo Samuel 12.98, Jacoby Myers 12.87, DeAndre Hopkins and Keenan Allen at 12.3. And then, as I said, a little bit above that, Mike Evans, 13.4, Terry McLaurin, 13.47, Corey Davis hit 13.67 in his 4th season, and then Brandon Cooks at 13.7, and Tyler Lockett, 13.8, Tyler Boyd, 13.9, all right in that range in terms of hitting his ceiling in year 4, which, again, probably not likely. It does like Jalen McMillan more on these lower ends, especially the tailing ones that you see here in year 3 and year 4 have really low predictions as one of their highest ones. So keep that in mind with this profile. Probably going to end up more like a N'Keal Harry profile in the end. That's probably the most likely outcome for Jalen McMillan in his first 4 seasons, which isn't inspiring. But, with the chance of a year 3 breakout, perhaps that's something that you want to take a risk on in Dynasty come year 2. Hey, he hasn't done much. Looks like Mike Evans is on his way out, or Chris Godwin's on the way out, get traded, whatever the case is. Jalen McMillan certainly has a ceiling potential in year 3, and that's an opportunity where you could strike in Dynasty. All right, that's going to do it for today's rookie prospect profile on Jalen McMillan. This is presented by Zilla Fantasy Elite. Hit that subscribe button. We appreciate the support. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.